Welcome to the Growth Fire Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Horrigan, host of the show, where I featured inspiring business leaders from various backgrounds and industries who are willing to share their stories and insights. Today's podcast is brought to you by Spinutech. So Lisa, here at Spinutech, we help middle market and larger companies get more leads. Hey, who doesn't want more leads? At Spinutech, we take an end-to-end digital approach, starting with your website and making sure it has the right aesthetic appeal and convincing content to convert visitors into action. And then we look through all of your digital marketing tactics, such as search engine optimization, paid search, organic and paid social media, email marketing, and more. With the correct website and optimized digital marketing campaigns in place, we assist our clients to attract more qualified customers, gather new clients, and grow existing accounts. To learn more, go to www.spinutech.com. That's spin, the letter U, tech.com. Spinutech, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Well, today's guest is Lisa Shim of BankUnited. Lisa serves in a role as Senior Executive Vice President, Head of Technology and Innovation, where she wears many hats, overseeing technology, treasury solutions, operations, marketing, and corporate strategy. Lisa's been part of the BankUnited family since the new bank was formed in 2009. When she joined the bank as Vice President of Corporate Development, and has been involved in a wide range of critical initiatives throughout her tenure, including the bank's merger and acquisition strategy, internal corporate strategy, and digital transformation journey, for which I've been a long part of many of those journeys with her. Prior to BankUnited, Lisa worked in the financial institutions such as Merrill Lynch and retail bank division for Countrywide Bank. She graduated with a BA from Stanford and an MBA from Kellogg. Personally, Lisa's hobby is her current 2.5-year-old son. Lisa, welcome to the Growth Fire Podcast.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. And it has been a long time. Our relationship spans, I think, a decade, if not longer.
Since 2009, a decade and a half.
Yeah.
We don't look any different since the first day we met.
That's right. I hope not.
Lisa, while we're about to get started with this podcast, I want to give a shout out to Bibi, who works with you. I've known Bibi for more than 20 years, and she's an amazing person and so helpful in your digital transformation journeys for both our companies. And so I want to give a shout out to Bibi. We super appreciate you.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is. So, Lisa, I know you quite well, but the audience does not. Please tell us a little about yourself. Where did you grow up? What did little Lisa want to be when she did grow up? And anything else you'd like to share about yourself?
I don't know if little Lisa or big Lisa quite know yet, but sure, I can give you a little bit about my background. So I was born and raised in LA, and I thought I was going to be a Cali girl for my entire life. Growing up, little Lisa thought that she was going to be a doctor. And so while I went to undergrad, I realized that fairly quickly that the road to medicine was a fairly long one and one I didn't have the stamina for. I have a lot of respect for doctors. My sister is one today, but I realized fairly quickly that this wasn't the career for me. So I switched majors to economics, and at that point had absolutely no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I applied to a bunch of industries related to finance, analytics, analyst type of roles, because I felt like that was what was probably the most translatable to what I had studied. And going back or thinking that I was going to go back to LA, I thought I would end up working for the likes of Disney or some large entertainment company back in their finance division.
Sure.
But lo and behold, I walk into an interview for Countrywide Bank, which is not here today, but at the time was a fairly large institution. And it was there that I met my future manager and probably one of my first professional mentors. And it was after that interview, I walked out and I was like, I want to work for this lady. So big shout out to Allison Misselbauer. I'm going to send her this podcast. So she's going to be an active listener going forward. And it was after that fortuitous meeting that I started my career in banking. So you asked, did I think that I was going to end up here when I grew up? No. Did I think that I was going to be, here forever? No. And I think, when you start your professional career, you hear all about the times that people move from job to job or move from industry to industry. And so I thought that was going to be my span as well. But since that fateful day at Countrywide until now at BankUnited, I've stayed because I really haven't stopped learning or building. And I think sometimes when you think about, what you want to be when you grow up, it's not necessarily what industry or even what profession. It's, what do you want to do with the talents that you've been given, and how can you best, serve the people that you're providing those products and services for?
Well, that was really well articulated, Lisa. And of course, the podcast is called The Growth Fire, and you talked a lot about your growth. And like many, 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 almost all guests, their little young version of themselves isn't who they matured into, but they learn things in their journey that have them maybe capitalize on something that they weren't aware of right now, but they felt was better on track. And yours thought maybe medical, but it went into finance and stuff of that nature. Great opportunity. And I love the shout out to Allison as your mentor. That's fantastic. But I do want to talk about your journey of growth. You've had an incredibly impressive career, including your growth at BankUnited. What prompted you to leave Countrywide and join the BankUnited family?
Yeah. So, well, after Countrywide, I went to business school. And actually, at that point, I thought I was going to leave corporate and pursue a completely different path. But then investment banking, I don't know, it was a very enticing opportunity. And so I stepped into investment banking at Merrill Lynch. And it was at that time that I was assigned the BankUnited deal to be part of that deal team. I was in my mid-20s at that time. And when we actually won, the future, actually, he was the COO, but has now become the CEO of our company, Raj Singh, came and said, look, I'm going, and he said this verbatim, I'm about to save your soul from investment banking. And he offered me a job to work with him and join him in the turnaround of this company. And so, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in investment banking. I learned a tremendous amount, but I was in my mid-20s, I was unattached, and I knew that type of opportunity wasn't just going to come when I wanted it to come. And so I decided to take the risk. I knew that if it didn't work out, I could always come back. And the value proposition was so interesting to me, to actually take something that had failed and turn it around into something stronger, better. And I knew that I would just learn a lot from that journey. So I took it, and it's worked out ever since. I can't believe I'm still here 15 years later, but I think it's, and actually, Kevin, this week I'm celebrating my 15th anniversary. So it's a testament. Yeah.
That's so. And I think just, the risk that you take leaving, no one maybe had a security blanket to go back, but the turnaround of the bank and stuff of that nature too, like what an opportunity, what a challenge and things of that nature. But your choice to do so, you have been promoted so often at BankUnited. It's like almost every time we regroup, you've got more landscape that you're managing and stuff like this. What do you think that's been appealing to the leaders at BankUnited to continue to offer you more and more? What are you doing that's continuing to earn you more and more promotions?
Well, first of all, it's not so much that I'm asking for it. I think I'm leaning into things where with a mindset of learning and constantly challenging the status quo. That's been my approach to work since I think day one. I think about, our smartphones that we have. Every 3 to 4 years, we're thinking about replacing it. But when we get that new phone, we're like, this is the most beautiful product we've ever seen. And so I think similarly, when we think about work and we think about how we do things, the recipe that we have today might not necessarily be the recipe that we need to still stay on edge and be competitive and respond to our client needs, especially as we grow and mature and have more competition. And so I think that mindset is something that has led to these opportunities. I'm also just not a person that, calls things out and says, this is broken, or likes to just say, well, okay, this is just the way it is. I try to think about what can be possible. What's the art of the possible?
Yes.
And I'll take that, I know in the bio, you had mentioned our digital transformation journey. Well, that all started from a question, which is why do we not have a digital strategy? Why are we not driving something that is table stakes for our customers? And so, that conversation with Raj turned into, an initiative that, later turned on to be the backbone of our digital transformation journey. And so I think it's just, having that curiosity to answer or ask the question and be part of the solution that has, I think, opened the doors for me.
Yeah, I think I loved how you put that. It's if you kind of have the curiosity to ask the questions, but also be committed to help provide assistance in the solution too. And so I think for the listeners out there, the opportunity of, when you're challenging the status quo, you're asking the curious questions, but not just challenging, being part of the solution too, maybe can help unite people to get there faster.
Yeah. I also think, Kevin, something that we tend to oversee is that, it's not just one person. When I think about my journey, I'm not in this seat because I created it on my own. This is, I think this is a culmination of just a lot of people who have not only supported my journey, but have supported the bank. And I think one of my, the blessings that I have over the course of the last 15 years have been establishing these highly collaborative individuals who really come together. We are able to zoom in and problem solve, but also zoom out when needed. And so I think just having, the understanding that this is not a solo effort has also helped, not just me, but, the culture of this bank.
Yeah, no, I think that's well articulated as well. Lisa, I'm going to switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about what your go-to-market strategy might be. So, Lisa, who's the target market of BankUnited, and maybe how do you go about trying to attract those new clients to the bank?
Sure. So first and foremost, BankUnited, because I don't know if every listener is as tuned into the banking industry, but we're a regional bank. We're headquartered here in Florida, and our core geographical markets are Florida and New York, although we do have some national niche businesses that serve our clients across the country. Our target customers range, we go to the consumers as well as the small business and large commercial and corporate clients. And really our take is, we want a relationship with our clients. It's a relationship-driven approach to all their banking needs. We know that we're not a one-stop shop for everything. We're not like a money center bank, but we have this really core value around building relationships with our clients and really trying to meet them where they are in terms of their banking and financial needs.
Yeah, no, that's great said. And Lisa, I am a client of the bank, and I have to say,
yes, you are.
I want to say you do fulfill your brand promise, and I need to give a shout out. Erica and Nicole here in the Tampa market are just nothing shy of phenomenal. I wish I would say I was a low maintenance banking client of yours, but unfortunately, I'm not. I did need to ask their assistance for a lot of pet projects, and they are nothing short of phenomenal. And so I want to give Erica and Nicole a shout out. You guys are amazing and absolutely very relationship based. I'm so glad, Lisa, you asked me one day where I bank and giving me an introduction because I haven't regretted that ever since I've formed that relationship. So shout out Erica and Nicole. Back to your go-to-market strategy. So we understand who some of your target audience is. What are ways you found successful to attract that target audience to sign up to be a client of the bank?
Yeah, I think, first our go-to-market strategy is not one where it's all digital or it's, all experiences. It's multi-pronged. In the banking business, you're competing with 4,000 or over 4,000 other banks and also fintechs.
Yeah.
So we know that when we've got your attention, we've got your eyeball, or you're, in one of our events, we don't have much time to showcase our value to you. And so, we have obviously, and maybe I'm biased, but I like to think that we have the best sales team in the country, and we win business one client at a time all day long. But we do couple that with experiences that are curated that allow you to get to know us and earn your trust and your business that follows. And we also do campaigns, whether it's digital or some of the more traditional approaches that, drive that message that we are a company that cares about the success of your business, and that you can leave your worries about being, your money and your financial questions and trust that you're in good hands with us.
Yep. No, absolutely. So Lisa, you're in charge of digital transformation, innovation, technology, all these things. The digital landscape changes quickly. Are there any tactics out there that you're hungry to try to innovate and attempt to try or get better at?
Yeah. I would say on that, there's a couple of things. One, I think everybody is trying to understand how to create that personalization for their end user, whether it's a client or a follower. How do you get people to be engaged and creating the content that they need to really meet their expectations at the right time? And we've got to use data. You've got to use emerging tech. Gen AI is the flavor of the month, but it's actually something that cannot be ignored.
Right.
But why are these the shiny toys, and how can we leverage them to actually meet our customers and their customer behaviors that are constantly evolving, right? The way that we used to buy things, was going to brick and mortar, and now it's all in the comfort of your home on your mobile phone. How are we going to cut through the noise and really deliver our message when in a very personalized way that allows you to stay engaged and connected? And that's the constant journey that we're always on.
No, and I think you nailed it. That's certainly part of it. And as marketers, the shiny objects are never not flashing in front of us, and it's difficult to figure out sometimes which ones are going to fizzle and which ones are going to flourish. And it's the opportunity to be curious and to test and to evaluate. But a lot of those shiny objects do fizzle out. Very few do end up being absolutely transformational. But being too late to the game isn't the right answer, and embracing one and putting too much into one and it not being the right one that flourishes. It's just that balancing act of trying to do all of those things. And I super appreciate that. Lisa, any recent wins that you want to share about maybe something that exceeded some of your or your clients' expectations?
I think I mentioned Gen AI earlier. So we are experimenting and thinking about how to use this in a way that's meaningful for our clients. So we do have, one of our first, we call her an assistant. And that's all I'm going to mention about her, but she is a tool that we use in our front lines to be able to better answer questions directly to our clients. And so we're finding early stage, but we're finding some initial success with that. And we're just trying to understand how can we do this more often to build, better bankers and actually, better individuals and smarter. And we're starting to dabble in that, and we're finding some early successes and learning how to flex that muscle even further.
Yeah, I'd be curious to continue to learn more about that. That sounds like right on the right direction. Lisa, two more questions. So you mentioned Allison earlier as a mentor in your career, but can you explain Allison and any other mentors you had in your career and how they helped you grow in your journey?
Yeah, so I mentioned Allison. I also mentioned Raj. I guess I didn't mention that he's also one of my chief mentors, and he'd be very annoyed if I did not say that. But yeah, these mentors, and actually I have a handful of them. They have been, a great source of not just inspiration, but pearls of wisdom from time to time. And, I will say, I think all of my mentors have always encouraged me to define my own career path. And I think when some people might hear that and be like, that is super daunting, I don't even know where to start. But what I've found is that that's given me and really empowered me to think, well, what do I want to do? How do I want to chart my own path? What do I want to learn? And that's, been extremely helpful because as I have mentioned before, I'm very curious. And so I like to insert myself, and maybe some people don't like it, but I think generally people do when I do get involved. But it's allowed me to learn and grow and step into things where I can start providing value, but also, learn and build in my own career. And so I think also something that has been really helpful for me, sometimes there's this feeling that, oh, mentors, because they're typically older, they're just always busy, or they're too busy for us, or, maybe I won't be able to establish a relationship. But what I found is actually it's fairly easy. And it's not something where it has to be this, I have to set an agenda every hour, once a month. I need to sit down with this person so that I can, check that box off that I've been mentored.
Yes.
But it's more like I have a question, or I have, something that I need someone to bounce off that idea with. And it's, I'll be like, hey, Raj, can I get 15 minutes on your calendar? Or, hey, Allison, can I just ping you on something? and they will always say yes, right? So it's one of those things where mentorship and even how to leverage them, it's not just about, oh, this person has so much to glean from. It's how active are you going to be as a participant of this relationship, to, ask the right questions, come prepared, and make these interactions very meaningful. And I think the other piece around this topic of mentorship is that, and really not just mentorship, but like how you can grow as an individual, is that I think wisdom can actually come from anybody, and it's really our willingness to be able to listen and discern. Is it relevant for me? Is it relevant for me today? Or maybe it needs to be shelved for something to be used down the road. So that's how I think about the various mentors. I'm very fortunate, but I also think it's a two-way relationship.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. I think in my journey, Lisa, I didn't know I was being mentored until way longer than I realized I was being mentored. And I just knew that the mentors that I ended up having, I was in awe of how these people conducted themselves, their charisma, their presentation, their ability to capture the attention of an audience in a room, the opportunity that they were just very well seasoned with information and education, the aura, again, the charisma. And I found myself just wanting to find more opportunities to bump into them, to be around them. And at some point, hey, would you mind if I, got 10 or 15 minutes of your time, become very organized to that. And they seemed like if I asked for 15 minutes, I got 25.
Yeah.
I wasn't inconveniencing. They were enjoying sharing their experiences and insights. And sometimes I felt uncomfortable asking, or am I bugging them or interrupting them? But I found the exact opposite. They were thirsty to want to be able to provide that feedback. And even if that meant after hours on their personal time, that was something that they wanted to do and didn't want me to wait. And so I didn't realize until a little later in my career, after I was spending a lot of time with some people, of how much this was a two-way relationship.
Yeah.
And while I was thriving on every moment of it, I think they were enjoying the journey too. They enjoyed being asked questions that maybe someone with less experience had with maybe a different realm of experience. Some of the innovation comes with the generation younger that has a different perspective of things. And I think they not only enjoyed sharing their insights and experience, but I think they enjoyed to hear the questions coming from others without that experience and how that helped them grow a little bit too. And so I can't undervalue how important mentorship is in helping many other people grow. And like many other guests, Lisa, I'm glad it's worked out well for you as well.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right about, having the humility to even ask people who are younger than you about just how things work, what's going on that's relevant to you, and learning from them. I find such joy in that, and finding that, I have to unlearn things to relearn things a different way. And I'm starting to find that in this stage in my career that I'm finding just as much joy in learning new things from this, next generation of talent as I am with, those that are further along.
I'll share one quick story. My older son got out of college, finance degree, and went into commercial banking for a local community bank in the Tampa market as his first job. And I would talk to him frequently, how things going, this and that. And I noticed it seemed like a pattern, seemed like he started his day at 9:00 in the morning. I'm at my desk at 7:30 every morning. And it seemed as if, he might be calling me at, 5:01 in the afternoon. And, are you at your desk? Oh, no, Dad, I'm heading to this or this and that. And I'm like, hey, Connor, did you ever think about going in earlier in the day and impressing your boss and the other things, stay later, this and that? And we'd have these conversations. And at one point he said, hey, Dad, I know how you paid your dues. And I know how you did it, but I know a different way to do so. And I'm going to have the same outcome. And I was like, dang, that was so well spoken. And I listen, if there's a more efficient way to get to the same outcome, why not take that path? And it just opened my eyes that just because that's the way we did it doesn't mean that's the way everybody else is. And the newer generations have found more efficient ways to be able to get to the same outcome. And why not embrace that? And so, it is amazing sometimes when we, talk to the others and learn from their experiences. They have the same goals. They're just choosing a path that's going to help them get there faster or more effectively than we took. And it's nice. It's nice to hear those insights from time to time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think around the company, we always say, let's find ways to work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And it sounds like your son has figured it out.
Yes, he did. And so, but anyway, Lisa, last question for you. You're in charge of innovation, digital strategy. I mean, these are big things that you need lots of inspiration. We talked about mentors. We've talked about younger people out there. What other sources of inspiration do you find are effective for you in your journey of growth?
I read a lot. I also listen a lot now because I'm going back into the office. So I have a commute but I actually love it because it's really time for myself.
Yes.
And I think actually that's the point. I think we are so plugged in today as a culture. I am listening to several podcasts a week. I'm reading, I'm watching things on my phone. And I find that actually my biggest sources of inspiration and just focus have come when I'm completely disconnected.
Yes.
And that generally happens really, really early in the morning before my 2.5-year-old son wakes up and I'm by myself in my own thoughts.
Yeah.
So controlling the agenda, what am I going to be focused on for the day before the day gets to me? And so I find that connection in the morning, if I don't have it, it's a very different outcome than when I do have it. And I find that, that's to me how I've been able to have the time to be innovative and have had the time to think about what's important versus what's urgent, which
right.
I think tends to be the combination that we get to if we don't have that focus.
No, I share with him. I commute every day to the office, and I find that morning commute, I call it my only Kevin time, but I use that time. Sometimes I use it for entertainment. Sometimes I use it for education. Sometimes I use it just to be able to have thoughts that weren't focused on something that day and let them organically generate. But that quote unquote Kevin time can be sometimes the time that is the most inspirational. I get a lot of stuff done because the rest of the day is maybe somewhat controlled. And that's the opportunity of the day where inspiration and innovation can take place that doesn't have a preset agenda but driven by your calendar.
That's right.
Yep. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. We've been talking to Lisa Shim, Senior Vice President of BankUnited. Lisa, you shared a lot of great things today. If anybody wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yep, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the fastest way you can get to me.
Great. LinkedIn. Lisa, so thank you so much for being a guest on the Growth Fire podcast. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights, and we wish you ongoing success with your journey.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.